I got very, very interested in the gateway to health through the immune system, because the immune system is one of only 3 places in the body that is sampling the outside world 365 all our life. The other 2 are the nervous system and then the mucosal surfaces of our body, the lungs, the skin, and the mucosa of our intestinal tract. Those are 3 places that the outside world is directly impacting our inside world and telling us how we're going to function. Of those, the immune system has the most dynamic ability to change rapidly. The immune system turns itself over about every 2 to 3 months. The cells in our immune system 2 months from now will be different than the cells that are in our body today. So we'd like them to be as good as possible. We don't want them to be backsliding and becoming senescent. So the first thing we learned, or I learned, was this process of immuno-rejuvenation is a very important process to maintain high-level health across every organ system. Secondly, I happened to meet an investigator at Vanderbilt University Medical School who was doing a very interesting research study on a new substance that he had discovered that could treat high blood pressure through the immune system. And I'd never thought about the blood pressure being connected to the immune system. And what he found was that this particular substance was capable of modifying how immune cells talk to the mucosal, or the 1-cell thick lining of the blood vessels called the epithelia, and that those cells could be affected and they could be relaxed so that your blood pressure could go down when your immune system was in its best state of function. And that substance that he was studying was found in only 1 food, and that was this Himalayan tartary buckwheat, something I'd never heard of before. I'd never heard of this product. I thought, what is Himalayan tartary buckwheat? I knew about common buckwheat. Okay. And so I started to become very interested in hobamine, which is found in Himalayan tartary buckwheat. I then, by coincidence, about the same period of time, took a trip to China. I was invited to speak at this large China Health Center annual meeting up in Harbin, China, with about 10,000 Chinese physicians. And I was speaking about functional medicine, and my host, guide there, was a gentleman who turned out by coincidence to be the head of the research group in China that was most involved with research on Himalayan tartary buckwheat. So I became very interested, and he became interested in me, and we formed a collaboration. I then formed a collaboration with the group out at Vanderbilt University dealing with hobamine. And then lastly, thanks to a relationship that I have with one of my colleagues here for the last 20 plus years, we were able to locate the only person in the United States that was actually growing Himalayan tartary buckwheat. It was a farmer who was a former Cornell University ag professor who was retired, and his nurse wife who was retired. They had a small farm in Angelica, New York, upstate New York, and they were growing from seeds they got from the USDA this small amount of these, about a few acres of this Himalayan tartary buckwheat. So we got him involved with us because of his knowledge, both as an ag scientist and as a farmer. And then we connected with our group in China and with the group in Vanderbilt, and we formed then the first cooperative agreement with organic farmers to start growing Himalayan tartary buckwheat for the first time in the United States, probably for 200 years. So now we have ag research going on with our ag scientist, Emily Reese, Dr. Reese, who is doing studies on soil, because we're looking at actually the soil mycorrhiza, how that influences the development of the plant of the phytochemicals that are immune active. So we're doing plant soil research, and we're also doing human research. We have a clinical trial just finishing, a US clinicaltrials.gov registered clinical intervention trial, looking at the effect of this Himalayan tartary buckwheat nutrients on immune system function, how it epigenetically regulates the process of immunorejuvenation. The data will be available for that study coming up in October. And so we've coupled together the soil research with the human research, with what I've learned about this ancient crop that's been consumed, by the way, by humans for 2,500 years. It's just been forgotten in America for the last couple hundred years. So here we go in bringing science together with health, with immunity, all kind of as a package deal. I think now we've compiled over 300 research papers on Himalayan tartary buckwheat. We've done research on its effect on glucose excurgency. It has a very low glycemic index. It's very good by CGM monitoring. We've also looked at its felt state on things like mood, mind, and behavior. We've looked at its effect on skin. We've got a couple of very interesting clinical examples now of people whose problems with eczema have completely resolved on it because of its positive effect on the immune system. So this is one of those kind of discoveries that leads us into all sorts of new opportunities to understand the epigenetic remodeling of the immune system through this rejuvenation process.
This is fascinating. I'm so excited, Dr. Bland, to learn more. Send everything. Send all of that. Send samples. Obviously, I'm along with Dr. St. Clair, always looking at novel, you know, I don't want to say experiences, but opportunities that can help the body. And so very, very interested. And most recently, a family member of mine has had a diagnosis that has to do with the mucinous neoplasm. So everything that you're saying, again, also sparks such an interest for me on a personal level, but all things that I do personally is what we share to the community. So I'm so excited. That's amazing. And I love, you got to geek out here when you're here, because we are all things food and geek. And so it helps so much when you give us that background and insight for the community to understand that this is the why. You know, this is why these products have this profound effect on our bodies, why they're so important.
The approach towards immunorejuvenation is really kind of a three-pillared approach. There are these extraordinary phytochemicals that are found in Himalayan tartary buckwheat, and they're 50 to 100 times higher than any other plant food that we're aware of. I didn't say percent, I said times. It's amazing. 50 to 100 times higher levels of rutin, hesperidin, luteolin, quercetin, this whole portfolio of phytochemicals. And so, number one are the phytochemicals in Himalayan tartary buckwheat. Number two are the important role that essential omega-3 fatty acids play in rejuvenating the immune system, particularly fatty acids that are high on these pro-resolving mediators, these very high bioactive compounds that are found in minimally processed omega-3 oil products that are generally removed by high processing, but we found in low processing they have very, very high effect in rejuvenating the immune system. And then third are pre and probiotics, because of the important role that the microbiome plays in immune rejuvenation. So those three pillars, the combination of the phytochemicals found in Himalayan tartary buckwheat, the omega-3 fatty acids that are rich in pro-resolving mediators, abbreviated PRMs, and then lastly, the effect that these effective prebiotics like D-chiroinositol have, which, by the way, are found in the Himalayan tartary buckwheat brand at high levels. So now we've got a solution, I believe, for intervening with immunorejuvenation.
Wow, fantastic. Just, I mean, fascinating and fantastic. This is so exciting. I'm really, really excited about this and so happy that we can share this.